I reviewed the case, Hall versus the University of Minnesota. The facts of this case are as follows. In December of 1981, Mark Hall was a 21-year-old student of the University of Minnesota's General College. He was on an athletic scholarship for playing basketball and had played for the university his first 3 years after high school. He was enrolled in a non-baccalaureate program and had met the minimum GPA and credit requirements for eligibility set by the NCAA. The program at the General College terminated after he accumulated 90 credit hours. He applied twice to the University Without Walls degree program that was offered at the University of Minnesota. Both times, he was denied admittance. To maintain his basketball eligibility, he must be in a program where he could be a candidate for receiving a degree. Right after high school, Mark Hall was a highly recruited basketball player. After he completed 3 years of collegiate ball, he was considered to be a second-round draft pick in the NBA. His academic goal was not necessarily to receive a degree, but to use the scholarship as a means to gain a professional contract in the NBA. If he could not play his senior year, he would be considered a sixth-round draft pick instead of a second-round draft pick in the NBA. He applied twice to the University Without Walls program, once in August of 1981 and again in October of 1981, to regain his eligibility. Both times, the admission committee decided he should be accepted into the introduction program, and both times their decision was vetoed by the director of the program higher up. Unbeknownst to Hall, the dean of the General College, Dean Lupton, sent a memo to the director of the University Without Walls. The memo included factors of Mark Hall's conduct at the General College that bore negatively on his application. Included in the memo was the political aspects of admitting him, his travel record, that he earned A's in courses he was not eligible to be in, he turned in work on Regents letterhead stationery, that the General College found it necessary to monitor his work, and that he turned in others' work passing it off as his own, and that every withdrawal on his transcript was really equivalent to an F, and he put through fake approval forms on more than one occasion. This memo was passed from director to director and eventually made its way to the admissions committee at the University Without Walls program. In the memo, it stated that the General College would not admit Mark Hall into the degree program, and this memo was written before he applied. The admission committee, after being vetoed by the director, sent out a pamphlet. In the pamphlet, it stated, 1, that the information in the application would be the sole determining factor for admissions, 2, that the decision of the committee would be based off the applicant's answers on the application, 3, that the application would be reviewed by the committee, and if declined, they would be notified in writing with the reasons for the rejection, and finally, that the committee would be making the decision to admit or not. Mark Hall, the plaintiff, filed action on December 15, 1981. He moved for a preliminary injunction to be admitted into the degree program by January 4, 1982, so that he could regain his eligibility to finish his senior year of basketball. He argued that they denied him admissions without affording him due process. If he did not regain his eligibility by January 4th in 1982, he would miss the winter quarter of basketball and would drop to a possible sixth-round draft pick in the NBA. The defendant, the University of Minnesota, argued that a public education is a privilege, not a right, and that if they admitted Hall into the degree program, it would lower their academic standards and undermine the integrity of the university. They felt that Hall's summer school credits should not be included in the evidence of his progress towards his academic career. When reviewing the case, the court looked at 3 factors. The first factor looked at the private interest affected by the actions. The second factor was the risk of erroneous deprivation of such interest through the procedures used and the value of additional procedural safeguards. And the third factor looked at the government's interest involved. Government, in this case, meaning the University of Minnesota. The second factor was in the plaintiff's favor. His application was not treated the same as all the other applicants. He should have been notified about the allegations of his conduct at the General College. If these allegations were reasons for him being declined admittance, he should have been given an opportunity to defend himself against those allegations. And finally, if the school is offering credit for summer courses, then they could be used as evidence showing his academic progress. The court ruled in favor of Hall. They required the University of Minnesota to admit him into the degree program and to reinstate his eligibility. He was not judged solely on his application. The university proceeded in a manner that was unfair and violated his right to due process. The implications of this case. This case can affect future cases and the relationship between athletes, universities, and professional sports organizations. Some may argue that scholarships in collegiate programs are benefiting the athlete by getting a quality education. However, others argue that it's merely a stepping stone to participate in the next level. This case also re-emphasizes the importance of following procedure. When you have a procedure in place, it needs to be followed properly.